Welcome to the Back Nine Six Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Six Pack. My name is Mitch. I'm here with my esteemed colleague Justin. We are just 364 days away from the 2024 Masters.
Can't wait. I mean, if it was every weekend, it would be awesome. You know, you get together. Usually we do Sundays. Easter's falling a Sunday this year, but we got together on Saturday. The sadness of not getting any Saturday afternoon golf, but pretty great tournament.
Shout out to our buddy Ryan, who graciously hosted us. We had a whole spread of food. Walk in the door about 3:15, immediately see the TV that they're pulling the guys off the course, and then play suspended for the rest of the day.
Yeah, well, and you know, we showed up late, and then my wife thought I bamboozled her in going to a party that with no golf. So I got like the double whammy of showing up knowing that there was no golf, and I tried to play it off like I didn't know when we showed up, but then she knew I knew. So, but it was still a good time.
The truth will set you free every time in that situation. So yeah, I mean, we are here. This is the Back Nine Six Pack, like I said. If you found this podcast, welcome. Thanks for joining us. But you're probably also wondering what the Back Nine Six Pack is. So I'm going to toss that to Justin here to kind of give us the history of the Back Nine Six Pack.
Yeah, so like any of my ideas, I don't remember where they came from. I just know they somehow one day just kind of popped in my head, and you know, I think it happened when we were playing one day, and I played terribly on the front nine. I was like, you know what, the only way I'm going to stay here for 9 more holes is if I get 6 beers at the turn, and I'm either going to have fun or turn this thing around. And then I think we just kept saying it, and then finally last year, I think we were on the patio drinking some beers afterwards. We were like, you know, it's funny. It's like, it feels like more of a mantra than it does like an actual thing, right? Like a six-pack's a thing, but it felt like more of a mantra. Our whole group started using it. You know, the Elks Hackers group, you know, what is there, like 15 of us in there? I feel like at some point I've heard somebody say that term since we started saying it. But last year we started talking, we're like, you know, I think we can make something out of it, and maybe we start with a podcast and see where it goes. But yeah, it's more of a mantra for that weekend warrior, you know, going out and playing with the boys, playing with the girls, you know, whatever you do, going out there and grinding on a Saturday morning after Friday night out, or a Friday night of kids not sleeping, you know, that too. But yeah, I think it's more of a mantra, lifestyle of that weekend golfer that, you know, the only time they can get out is a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, or a Saturday afternoon. They're not playing on Tuesday mornings or whatever it is. So, and their golf games are maybe average at times, right? Or, you know, you get a little liquid courage in you. Maybe it's really good. Who knows? But that's kind of where it came from. And we hope it encompasses a lot of people that are just like us, right? Kids, golfers, you know, we like to golf, but we also like to have a good time. And I think we've used this term. I know you've used it, like, no one likes the golf hardo, right?
Absolutely.
And that is certainly not what we are. Even though we play for money when we go out, but we're definitely not golf hardos. I mean, I think most of our shirts would be untucked if we could. But, you know, I think that's what it encompasses. And, you know, I hope people find enjoyment in what we talk about that encompasses that mantra of the Back Nine Six Pack.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about golf at this stage of my life is like everything matters, but also nothing matters about it. Where it's the thing that, like, come springtime, it just takes over my brain, right? I'm obsessed with it. All I'm thinking about is getting back out there. The second I get back out there and I realize, yeah, you stink, man. Like, nothing else matters, right? You know, you're there for a great time. Get out there for 4 or 5 hours, hopefully less than 5 hours.
And escape life, right? Like, it's like essentially escape your responsibilities that you have, whether that's work or kids or mowing the lawn. Like today, it's perfect out, and like I had to go home and mow the lawn. Like I wanted to just at least get a rain session in. I couldn't even do that. I'm like, oh yeah, my grass looks like a U.S. Open right now, so I feel like I've got to go home and mow. But Yeah, I agree with you there.
But you just got to find that back 9 6-pack and cutting that grass. That's all that matters.
Post grass cutting beer, we talked about it multiple times. Maybe we'll rank those at some point, but definitely a top 5 beer.
That is an elite beer for sure.
And speaking of beer, can we?
Yeah, and in honor of the introduction of the back 9 6-pack, cheers. It is shandy season in Ohio, Cincinnati to be specific, if who knows where you're listening from. So yeah, we want to take a minute. We'll get back to the Masters. We're huge golf fans, but the main thing with this podcast is, we like to say this is your golf podcast. We are here to talk about the golf that we all play and enjoy on a week-to-week basis. So we're going to talk a little bit about, kind of what got us into the game, what we're looking forward to this year in golf, and, just go from there.
I guess I started with the game when I was 5 years old. Started in the Pee Wee League at Miami Whitewater, which is in, for those that are not in Cincinnati, it's in Harrison, which is about 30 minutes west of Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. Fell in love with the game there. I actually didn't play my first round of golf until about a year after I joined the Pee Wee League. I wasn't allowed to play because I was still 4 years old. But I played my first real round of golf at a par 3 called Eagle's Nest, which is also in Harrison, with my grandma. And then I honestly just fell in love with it. I was in love with it before I even played it because I had an older brother that played. And, if anybody has older siblings, as a younger sibling, you want to do everything they're doing. And I saw how much my brother loved it and fell in love with it. And from there, played in high school. That's where we met, at Corian High School on the golf team. Best years of my golfing life, just not even from a playing standpoint, but just we still know everybody on that team. Essentially everybody that was on our team.
Oh, yeah.
It might not be a talking everyday relationship, but
there's weddings, there's fantasy football leagues.
I think I've been to 6 of the 7 weddings, and of the people that were on that team, at least when I was there, because I was only there for 2 years. But the best time of my life. There's nothing like high school golf. And if you're not falling in love with golf, high school golf is – if you don't fall in love with it in high school golf, then you're never going to fall in love with golf because it's the team. You get the team aspect. You get the individual aspect. You're playing with a teammate in a match. You just don't do that in golf other than the Ryder Cup, right? Yeah. And I think that's why we all love the Ryder Cup so much. But yeah, high school golf, nothing like it. And then I actually got the opportunity to play in college for 4 years at Tiffin University. Go Gons. Loved my time.
Shout out Nate Washington.
Yeah, shout out Nate Washington, Chris Ivory. We'll probably have to get into the Nate Washington story a little later on. I don't think we have enough time for that tonight. But yeah, I enjoyed my time there. Loved my coach. Still friends with him to this day, Darby Rogo. And what I liked about it is, one, I got to travel to places I was never going to go play golf ever if I didn't play in college. And then, two, I think I was so lucky to have 2 coaches from high school and in college that realized that I don't have the perfect swing. I'm never going to have the perfect swing. I have a very odd way of, tilting my head when I putt. And they just let me be. And then they let me be myself, right? I know our coach in high school, John Caesar, he knew I was fiery. And maybe from a standpoint of a leadership position, probably wasn't the greatest. But he let me be myself. And Coach Rogo at Tiffin let me do that as well. It's the best decision I ever made to play college golf. Because there for a second, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it, maybe just walk on and, get to practice for 4 years somewhere. But, and then after that, got married really quickly, had kids really quickly, and golf took a back seat for about 3 to 4 years. And then I got drug out to the Elks, Hamilton Elks in Hamilton, Ohio, by one of our buddies, Cody. Fell way back in love with the game, almost probably too much. And the rest is history. I'm infatuated with golf again. Not that I wasn't when I really wasn't. I was probably playing 7 or 8 times a year when I first had kids. I still loved it, but didn't really have the time to do it. And now that I kind of have the time to do it, even though we're kind of starting in sports with my kids, yeah, I'm back in love with it. I play in all the money games that I can get my hands on.
Yeah, if you need a game, Justin's got you.
I will never say no to a money game ever. So, but yeah, no, that's kind of my history with the game. And I can't wait to see where this goes and kind of maybe tell my story a little bit. Not that it's great. I suck at golf. But, well, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, if you're a golfer, you can't be a golfer without being self-deprecating. So Justin is basically like a scratch plus handicaps, and when he's, everybody's suck is relative. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah. I did shoot in the 80s already this year, just for informational purposes.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So for me, I can remember the very first time I was ever on a golf course. My parents took us on vacation up to Put-in Bay. It's up in northern Ohio on Lake Erie. My dad taking me out there in the cart with a putter to that little scruffy par 3 / par 4, whatever the course is up there.
That's what you want to call it, yep.
Yeah. And I don't remember much about that other than that it happened. But then, my dad would take me here and there to the driving range. We'd go hit up Lake Gloria. Non-existent anymore. Used to be an old par 3 right in Justin's backyard, basically.
Yep. Used to walk to that place.
Yeah, and so I'd play every once in a while, but I didn't really get into it until I got to middle school. Everybody's kind of picking sports to play and stuff, and all my buddies were like, I'm golfing. I'm like, okay, I guess I can do that. I'll try out golf. And then you buy a box set of graphite affinity golf clubs later, and then next thing you know, you're hosting a golf podcast, 25 years later or whatever. So yeah, that's how I got into it. And then obviously, I like to make the joke of, I didn't make our varsity team my senior year of high school. Did not go on to be the greatest of all time like Michael Jordan. But I'm a 7 handicap, belong out at the Elks like Justin said, which we need to clarify here. The Hamilton Elks Golf Club. Yes, it is a golf club. It's not what you're thinking.
It is indeed private, but it is not what you would picture your typical country club, right?
Yeah, no doubt. But it's really about the people that are out there. We've got 3, sets of 9 holes. You can always get out there if you want to anytime. It's a blast. The events there, weekly league. We'll get into league as we go on throughout the season here. But yeah, it's just a blast.
Yeah, and it's very blue collar. You have everything from bar owners and to plumbers to electricians to us who we work regular office jobs, right? Everything. And I think that's what makes it so much fun being out there. I would never be a member anywhere else. One, I wouldn't fit in. 0 chance I'd fit in. That I would be suspended within probably a week if I joined a regular country club. So, but yeah, we love it.
You've almost had run-ins with the board at the Elks already, for God's sake.
Almost. But yeah, so when we talk about a country club, we are not country club snobs by any portion of the imagination. We are not country club snobs.
No, the whole, one of the ethos of the Back Nine Six-Pack, we'll play with anybody. It's about having a blast out there. Just roll the golf balls out there, shoot 150, shoot 75.
And we both grew up on public courses, right? My parents never had the money to belong to a country club. So, we grew up Meadowlinks, all, small golf courses that were all public, open to the public, and cheap for junior golfers, right?
Yeah.
So...
Absolutely. So, I think that kind of sets the stage for us. We'll talk more about some of the events we're going to get into this spring and summer at the Elks.
But the events booklet is out. The beginning of the golf season. As soon as that little green booklet comes out and you know exactly how much you're going to have to suck up to your significant other to play in all those events, it sets the stage.
Yeah, look, if you're the iCalendar, Google Calendar, whatever you use, that is your friend at this time of year.
Yeah.
Got to get that stuff in there now. So it's an expectation, not a surprise.
Exactly.
So yeah, moving from the Elks and us hackers, further updates to come. But let's talk about the Masters again. Obviously, this is my favorite week of the year. It's like Christmas in April. Jon Rahm wins it. Really crazy kind of 4 days, I mean, honestly, it feels like a time warp. It's like I couldn't really distinguish between what round was what if you asked me at this point.
Yeah, other than Thursday, right? Like, that was the only round. After that, it was kind of like, you could turn the TV on and be like, I don't know if this is the second round or the third round or the fourth round, other than, when they played on Sunday, finishing up the third round. It was a wild, wild weekend as far as the weather goes. And I think Nance said it, and he was like, it was everything from 80 to like 30. Like, they had every bit of temperature between those two, which obviously didn't bode well for Tiger. I don't know if anybody's ever had injuries. I've had injuries, like, to my back. Like, cold weather is just pack it in. Like, if you have any injury like that, the cold weather is just going to kill it. So that was kind of the disappointment with the weather. I think he would have stuck it out over the weekend had he not had to play, 30 holes or something on Sunday. It was just going to be too tough in that weather. But other than that, I thought it was a great tournament. Great tournament. Got I think, a deserving champion.
That's what I was just going to ask you. So, thoughts on Rahm as the Masters champion? Thoughts on Rahm in his career at this point? I mean, I believe he's 28 right now, second major.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me 10 years from now he got to 10 or, maybe 8, I would believe that at this point, right? Like, everybody, obviously, when Brooks won his 4, everybody's like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to get to, he's going to get to 12, 10, because he won 4 in 3 years or something like that. So I don't want to go overboard, but I mean, just the way it's almost like, not that he doesn't care about the other tournaments, but when he walks into a tournament that he wants to win, it's kind of like everybody's playing for second. And we haven't had that in a long time. Even when Scotty went through his stretch last year, you didn't really feel that. So, but I think I told you this. I was like, I don't remember a point in time this weekend where I was like, that's the shot that won the Masters. Like, that we've always kind of, and maybe we've been lucky enough to kind of have that. Phil shot out of the pine straw. Jordan blown up on the par 3 where he's like, he kind of lost it for himself, or, whatever it might be, or, Tiger was his chip in behind 16 green. It's like, oh, that's the shot. Like, he won the tournament on that. I didn't feel like we got that this weekend, but I kind of told you, I was like, I think on Thursday when he, Rahm 4-putted the first hole and then turned around and shot 7 under after doubling the first hole. It's like, maybe that's what won the tournament. Like, he could have easily just been like, not going to be my tournament, just 4-putted, not necessarily mailed in, but just thinking like, okay, I'm not playing well. But he turned it around like immediately and shot 7 under, and it was leading after the first day with a double in the first hole. Maybe that's what won it for him. I don't know. I mean, he would have won by 5 if he didn't do that. So, kind of crazy.
For me, it's like, I hate to do this. It feels very sports talk radio. But, I mean, his issues with his controlling his emotions on the course are well documented. Yeah. And it just seemed like something like that in the past would have just,
he would have melted down. 100%.
That would have impacted the next couple holes for him.
Yep.
Whereas,
like most of us, like we would have, like, I think everybody would have melted down. And I think old Rahm would have melted down. And he didn't. Like, and maybe that's where he's maturing as a player, and we're going to say a different side of him, that maybe he goes on a run and wins, 4 more in the next 2 or 3 years. And now you're talking he's got 6 before he's 30, or when he's 30. That's, maybe we see that.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, that's ambitious, and I know you realize that too. But it just seems like, so what he did in controlling the emotions and doing, like, he just seemed like a different animal this week. Brooks was that guy that was like the steel, that was what he's known for, the nerves of steel for that run he had. And it just seemed like he got so rattled after, really, I mean, I forget at what point this was, but like, once he kind of had to get a taste of the conditions that he avoided for the first 2 days, kind of got a little pressure on him. I know there was a 2-shot swing right when they came back out to restart round 3. He just kind of never got it back after that point. Yep. And Rahm just looked, I mean, it was all in control of there was like maybe a shot here or there. I mean,
I think on Sunday after the first 3 holes of the restart, I was like, he's got it together. Like, it kind of just felt like Brooks was searching for something that he had the first couple of days that he no longer had. And then it just looked like Rahm was like cruise control, going 70 down the highway.
I mean,
the
putts he was making after the restart of the third round
And
kept
again,
the
and
momentum
it
going.
might be just because he played so solid that it just didn't feel like he needed that shot to win the Masters, right? And then that might be part of it too. But did you see the old tweet that got brought up? I guess from 2012, he had like a Panda Express like fortune cookie, and he tweeted out that he was going to win the Masters, and this was like back in 2012. Did you see that?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, it was awesome. He's like, and it literally is like, your talents will be awarded one day with great fortunes, and he's like, and he just tweeted out like, this means I'm going to win the Masters, and it's like, that's freaking awesome. Like, I know it's like, you know, he probably in his wildest dreams, I don't know if he was even on the radar at that point. He's probably just getting started, but I was like, that's kind of cool. And I love when old tweets get pulled up.
Yeah, I think the good thing about this is, like, one, he needed the second major. I mean, didn't need it, but, like, anytime these guys that are, like, world-class players get that second major to, like, you know, it confirms their greatness, right?
Yep, exactly.
There's, like, I mean, there's guys, you know, you got Jason Day stuck on one major. Like, he was the number one player in the world.
Jordan Spieth.
I mean, well,
like,
Spieth's got three.
He's kind of, yeah, but he's kind of been stalled, though. You
Same
know
for
what
Rory,
I mean?
but I'm just saying, like, guys that get stuck on one.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
true. Yeah.
That puts you in a category with, you know, no offense to these guys, but, you know, the Jason Duffners, Keegan Bradleys, you know, these guys that are, they're good players, obviously, but, like, anybody can get hot for a week. If you win multiple, that's, you know,
especially when these guys
are,
they're so good, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you can win, any of those guys can win one. It's when the guys start winning three, maybe even four. That's when they kind of puts them in a different category of, you know, all-time greats and, you know, going into the Golf Hall of Fame and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other part, too, is I think, you know, the more that I hear from Rahm, the more I'm fascinated by him and the more I'm interested in rooting for him. And I think, you know, now he's going to be around the Masters for 40 years. Like, we're going to get to know Jon Rahm better from this point on. Because before he kind of seemed like, all right, yeah, he's really good at golf, but what else?
Yeah.
And I think now you're starting to see more of his, you know, personality. He's more forthcoming with his opinions when you hear him speak, and I just think that's a good thing for golf.
Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So do we want to get to the six-pack of superlatives?
Absolutely. We're going to get to the recap six-pack here.
We've got six superlatives, right?
Absolutely.
And the first one is the biggest surprise of the weekend.
All right, so
I'll let you start.
I'll go first. I mean, it's the obvious, but Phil Mickelson. That's my choice. Also, I'm going to cheat this so much. Phil and Brooks are my surprises. I bet Phil to miss the cut. And
I did
all
too.
he did
I bet Brooks to miss the cut.
You bet Brooks. I forgot about that. Yeah. Like, these two guys, what I'm interested to see is when we get to some of these other venues for majors, if these guys that are playing on the Live Tour can show up outside of Augusta. To me, it makes sense. If you look at the guys, I mean, Phil's won this 3 times. He's got a history here. He's one of these guys who can come out and play and show up for whatever.
It's a course that you can kind of spray it everywhere. Like, you don't get in a lot of trouble if you're spraying it. Like, that kind of sets up well for him.
And Brooks, I mean, his record here is pretty incredible, throwing out the miscut last year. I think he has like 3 or 4 top 10s now in his time playing it.
Yeah.
I just wonder what happens when these guys, coming off of a non-competitive environment to a course that they don't know as well as this one, if their games will hold up. So I maybe should have thought that through going into this, but I was shocked that the two of these guys.
Yeah, Phil kind of defied father time. I think I sent that to you when it happened. I'm like I don't even know how old he is. He's got to be almost 50. No, he's over 50 because he played on the senior tour.
I'm going to get this wrong. I think he's 52.
Yeah, like, come on. Are you kidding me? Like, I hope I'm still walking by 52. And this guy's out here and then he makes the putt on 18. And I'm like, okay, I don't care how you feel about Liv or whatever your feelings are towards that, but like watching him make that putt on 18 and like fist pump it, I'm like, that's how much it means to him. Like, and you know, it's funny, like with all the Liv stuff, it's like, does he do that for a regular Liv event? I mean, he probably doesn't do it for a regular PGA Tour event coming in second, but it's like, that's how much the Masters means. And then see him to do it at 52 is like incredible. You know, it's like, it's unbelievable.
All right. So 2 notes on Phil here. One, this was either after the second or third round where he came and spoke with the press and literally was like, yeah, I'm about to go on a tear. This man is 52 years old. He's like, yeah, I'm turning 66, 67, and 77, 78. He's like, I'm going to go on a tear.
And did it.
Straight up called a shot. What do you shoot? 65 on Sunday, 66. One
But
of
at
those.
31 on the back. Too. So
T2, he's the clubhouse leader. I text you at the time. I was like, I don't even want to put this out in the universe, but like, if Rahm melts down, and is Phil going to win the Masters? Like, what? How?
How is that going to? I mean, the golf media would definitely have melted down because let's just put it this way: it's his own doing, but he's become an enemy of the golf media. If he ends up winning this tournament with a Rahm meltdown, like, I think the Augusta Media Center would have burnt to the ground. Like. Oh. And honestly, I didn't want it because I wanted Rahm. I wanted Rahm so bad when when they made the turn. I'm like, okay, I've got one rooting interest, and it's Rahm. Nothing against Brooks.
Yeah.
Kind of a pouty baby after the whole Netflix special. I think he kind of came off that way. But yeah, I was like, gosh, I'm like, please just like you can even bogey a couple holes coming in, but just hold it together so Phil doesn't win because. You'd start talking about 4 green jackets, like that puts him in a whole nother category of like greatness, right? So
I mean, 52 for the love of God, like already has the record for the oldest major winner. I mean, and then he would beat his own record.
Yeah, exactly.
It would just be absurd. I didn't even know how to like process that possibility in my brain. And then the second thing on Phil, this is a great nugget from Kyle Porter I found. They don't have official strokes gained stats from the Masters, but someone out there calculates this stuff. Tiger at the 2019 Masters, 12.08 strokes gained total. Phil at the 2023 Masters, 12.2 strokes gained total. Just an absurd stat to think that he outperformed Tiger's win there. Obviously, a lot of people melted down around Tiger, but like, you're on par with the Masters winning performance. Like, man.
Now I think this pretty much confirms that, barring anything crazy happening to Phil, like he's going to play in this tournament until he's 75.
I mean, honestly,
he's going to like try to get a cart exception to play in this tournament.
Well, Fred just made the cut. He's the oldest ever to make the cut, 63 and whatever. Like, honestly, it just bums me out.
I think that's definitely an honorable mention to the biggest surprise. I mean, I've got a different biggest surprise, but Fred Couples making the cut at his age is, especially how they've lengthened the course again. Mm-hmm. Making the cut at his age is pretty cool.
All right, that's enough about my biggest surprise. What do you got?
So, I mean, Sam Bennett. First off, multiple things go into this, right? One, how he played. Like, what do you go, 67, 68 in the first 2 days, right?
He was 8 under total.
Or 67, 69 or something like that. Yeah, 67, 69.
Bogey free.
In the
first round, I believe.
As an amateur, he's still a senior at Texas A&M. We haven't seen that since I think it was it Johnny Miller? No, Ken Venturi.
Venturi came in second as an AM?
Yes, he did, and he was. So. I think he was 9 under after the first 36, and Sam Bennett was 8. But we haven't seen that in forever.
Mm-mm.
Forever. I mean, like Ken Venturi hasn't been around for a really long time. And then his mocks, like he's talking crap about Augusta in his post round press conference, and I'm like, I don't think he knows what he's doing. Like I could imagine like the green coats just like walking circles around where the press conference was happening, like talking about how where he won the Ridgewood, where he won the AM was harder than Augusta, which he's not wrong about. But also, different time of year, Ridgewood was completely burnt out. They had it firm and fast and long rough, and that's just not what Augusta is. And then he's like, did you see him like on Saturday throwing the rallies in? Like, dude, lost it. When I saw that happen, I love this guy. Like, the dude's just, he's, and the cool thing about it is, most AMs go there and they're just like, you kind of behind the scenes, you don't really. Like, he was forefront of the conversation the entire weekend. Like, and I thought that was really cool, and he wasn't afraid to be himself. And I can't imagine the feeling of, like, I know what I was doing when I was a senior in college. Like, I couldn't even imagine walking down 18, what was he in, like, the third or fourth to last group on Sunday? The sun's going down. The 18th green is getting packed. Like, what an incredible feeling for somebody that, is 20, I think he's 23, and a senior in college. That's got to be the biggest surprise, at least for me.
The fact that
I watched the AM when he won it, but obviously you're not thinking like, oh, this guy's going to go out to Augusta and be, third place after 2 rounds. Like you just don't think that. So
Yeah, I totally agree with you. He 76, 74 on the weekend to kind of fall back to T16. One of those things where I was kind of rooting for him to get that T12 to come back next year.
yeah, that'd have been really cool.
Really
That'd have
cool.
been a nice start to a pro career.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a lot I like about Sam Bennett. I mean, the story with his dad is incredible, the tattoo, all that. But I got to say, the one thing, we got to play faster, man.
Oh, yeah. That's the one thing that I mean, you know how fast we are. And, like, if it takes me more than 4 hours and 10 minutes to play 18 holes, like, I'm melting on the tee box.
We do not need any more Cantlays out there.
No.
I just don't.
And I love Patrick Cantlay, but at the same time, we just, like,
take him away.
Got to play. Other than the slow play that he had, but the slow play's got to get better for sure. Especially if with how he played, he's going to get sponsors exemptions and stuff like that. Like as soon as he graduates from Texas A&M and plays his last 5 tournaments or whatever he has left, he's going to get sponsors exemptions. So he's going to be out there, but we definitely need him to play faster, especially in those early year events when the sun's going down faster, and they already have problems with that.
That was such a problem this year. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Biggest disappointment. We're going to go snake draft style, so you're up first.
All right. So it's not going to be who you think. And I could honorable mention as Rory. I don't want to get into it. I've gotten over the fact that I picked him in our one and done.
I did too.
I'm over it. So I'm not even going to bring it back up, but he's definitely honorable mention. But
I'm not over it. You know what? I'm mad as hell.
You know that I'm a huge Kevin Kisner fan, and he's not played well all year. And I was just like, man, he grew up near Augusta. It's like, this is the time. Like, this is going to be the time. Like, if there's going to be a time he's going to start playing better, here it is. Because he's always talked about how much he loves the Masters. And he just came out and laid an egg. And actually laid an egg in the second round. He was even par. He was on pace, and then he shot 77 on Friday. Just completely, I was like a disappointed parent. You know, it's like, I'm not mad, but I'm disappointed. That's kind of how I felt with Kevin Kisner this weekend. And I don't know, a lot of people, the Ryder Cup spurs them on to play better, right? President's Cup spurs them on to play better. It's almost like Kevin Kisner got on the Ryder Cup and is regressing ever since what people think got
President's
gifted.
Cup.
President's Cup, excuse me. Ever since most people think he got gifted that spot. I was disappointed. I wanted to see him play on the weekend. I love me some Kiz because it's definitely becoming more of a hobby, though.
I'm gonna sit here, and this is unpopular take time, but I'll get roasted. Anybody listens to this that's a Kisner fan, if somehow, God willing, Kevin Kisner ever hears this, he can dunk all over me. It's fine. The second you sign with Wilson, it might be a hobby. And I'm just not here. I get why people love Kiz. I get it. Just not my cup of tea. It's fine.
He's a man of the people.
It's good.
Wow. I like I said, just disappointed. I don't want to hammer on Rory because I've now accepted it. I've gone through my 7 phases of getting over it. But Kevin Kisner, definitely a disappointment, at least for me, on a personal level.
I get it. I had Rory written down as one of my biggest disappointments. I lumped Scotty in there too. After 2 rounds, Scotty I think he was leading the field in strokes gained tee to green and just was nothing with the putter. Could not get anything to drop. And then even you get over, that was nice trying to quietly correct that. Even when you get to Sunday, like there was a moment where Spieth's making his run. Scotty is making the turn. He's standing on 12T and you're like, okay, he's only like 4 shots back right now. Catch a heater and he's back in it, and just absolutely nukey boy, whatever he hit there over 12 green into the flower beds, into the azaleas. Not
just in the flower bed, like 30 feet up in the flower bed.
He almost hit it onto Augusta Country Club.
Yeah, it was close because his unplayable he took, he was like still 10 or 15 feet up in the flower bed.
I mean, it was just
how far did he have to be up to take his unplayable still in the flower bed? Like pretty far. Yeah, it was a bad shot.
Yeah, I mean, that was tough. That was kind of like the cherry on top of just a little bit of frustrating week as a Scotty fan. But my biggest disappointment is just the weather. Obviously they got tournament in. Great job by the course and the officials and everything. But, I mean, the wave advantage was real. Rahm coming out of the bad wave, just super exclamation point on his win to begin with. But I mean, the tree situation, thank God nobody got hurt. I mean,
yeah,
that was unbelievable.
You don't expect to see something like that at Augusta it's like every blade of grass is perfectly, manicured.
Yeah.
And it's like a tree falls down. Like, you just don't expect to see that.
I mean, you could see it if you get like 50, 60 mile an hour wind gusts or something crazy, but it was like just a normal steady wind. I guess it was super wet, so.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, just.
Yeah, and I think you tie in the Masters with like springtime, right? And it's like, if the sun's not shining, we did get that on Sunday, but if the sun's not shining and you got guys out there in 9 layers, rain suits, it's like, you almost feel like you're watching the Open, right? Like at St. Andrews or,
Which I'm here for the Open. The Open is my second favorite tournament.
Yeah, it is, but it's not that you don't expect that at the Masters.
Yeah, the Masters, I'm here for the, spring is sprung. I want the azaleas. I want the nice weather. Yeah. I want to be able to find my windows of the broadcast, sit there and watch it all.
Yep, exactly.
And like I said, I just kind of lost track of the tournament at times because it felt like they played double the amount of holes.
It did, yeah.
By the end of this thing.
But we also went, almost 20... We went 20 hours without golf, essentially, from Saturday to Sunday morning.
Yeah.
It was like 16 hours. So that does feel like a lot when you really think about it. But then we also, like Sunday at the Masters, breakfast style. I'm cooking breakfast on Sunday. I've got it on my phone. I'm like, it's not the ideal situation, but usually on Sunday you're like sitting around like 12 o'clock. You're like, oh my gosh, when am I going to get the coverage to start? And it was on right at 8 o'clock.
One of my favorite things usually with the Masters, because the app is so fantastic for like Apple TV or whatever, you can even, cast your phone or whatever. But like just getting all the multi-box up on Sunday morning, you got the early groups going through, you get an idea for how the course is playing, you see the pins, all that stuff. And with the split tees and all the stuff, like you just didn't really get that.
Yeah. No, not with the weather.
So it just was not my favorite Masters experience, although it ended up being a great tournament.
Yep. Yeah, I'd agree with that. So let's move on. Our next superlative, worst shot. Worst shot. There was a lot of them with the weather. But I tried to go away from one that was weather aided because I think we've all played in bad weather and like stuff's just going to happen, right? But I'll let you go first here. Worst shot of the weekend.
Again, I just talked about Scotty. That is up there for me. But the worst one, because I was watching Friday. I play DFS golf. I bet on golf. I'm watching Corey Connors play Friday, trying to make the cut. Gets to 13, puts his second shot in the water. We're like, okay, we're fine. Let's get up and down. Takes his drop. And I mean, I don't even know what happened because it wasn't like he just laid the sod over it or anything crazy. He like basically just flubbed it into the bank back into the water, like 10 feet in front of him with a back pin. Like he had plenty of green to work with and just.
Yeah, it's not like he was trying to like finesse one in there to a front pin or something.
Right in the water, just like flubbed it right in there. I'm like, oh, one of us.
Yeah.
There goes all my DK lineups. Yeah, that was the one that, I mean, I'm sure there's many shots that could be in this, but that's the one that it stuck out to me in my head.
So mine is probably going to surprise, and it wasn't like, he still made par, okay? So I don't want to discount it, but I thought in the moment that it was happening because Rahm had kind of recaptured some momentum when they restarted on Sunday. I thought Brooks' tee shot on one. Ooh. Dude, it was left of left. Like, they yelled for. The people in the gallery had nothing to worry about. That's how far left this thing went. But I thought it was in the moment of like, okay, like new round, he's got a chance to kind of recapture some momentum. And Rahm did. I can't remember. Actually, his shot was so bad that I don't even remember where Rahm went. But I think he was in the fairway.
Rahm was just short of the bunker.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but he was still in the fairway, but just short of the bunker.
They both hit 3-wood, I think.
Yeah, but I felt like in the moment where he was trying to recapture some momentum, and again, he still made par, but it was like you knew at that point, it's like, oh, he doesn't have it. Like immediately, you're like, I don't know what changed from Thursday and Friday to now, but I mean, you can see it in the stats. Like, he didn't make a birdie for what, like 20-something holes or something like that. So he went a really long time without making a birdie. But I thought in the moment, with a lot hanging on the line, trying to recapture momentum, him just absolutely flailing on dead left.
Yeah.
Like, the shot tracker was even like, delayed a second because it didn't realize it was going to go that far left. Like that's the kind of shot. That was the worst shot for me, only because of the situation it was in. Obviously, we can talk about Scotty hitting it 45 yards up the bank on 12. Maybe 100 yards, who knows? But, yeah, that was my worst shot, at least as far as situational. It was definitely the worst shot for me.
Yeah, going with the so bad it's good Bernie Sanders ball on the first hole of the final round. Yeah. Like, just way left. That's a bold strategy to try to win.
But again, he still made par, but it just felt it's good. It just felt like that. It was like, okay, he's like, Rahm's, he still has the momentum. He didn't recapture it. And then they kind of played pillow fight the rest of the front nine, But situational, that was definitely the worst shot of the weekend for me.
Yeah, that was tough. Conversely, what's your best shot of the weekend?
Best shot? Okay, so I had like 4 or 5 listed, but only because of where it was and the history behind it, and it was like another 10 feet behind it, was Sahith on 16 on Sunday. He was like, another 10 yards behind where Tiger chipped his in? Mm-hmm. Not in the fairway, out of the rough, hits almost, not quite an identical shot, same line, but it had a little more speed on it, was coming down the hill. But that chip in on 16. And by the way, this is how good these guys are. Sahith was all over Augusta on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
And he shot 67. Because of shots like that. Like, he's dead behind there. Chips it in.
He's a guy that just needs to get in the tournament every year because he's that game, you can play that way.
Yeah, you can. Perfect example, right? Yeah. He's all over the planet, shoots 67. But that shot behind 16, like, even though it didn't really matter, I do think that 67 got him in the top 12, I believe. I'll have to check that.
He was top 12.
Yeah, so that gets him back next year, and maybe that shot was the one that got him back. But that shot behind 16, out of the rough, not the fairway, I thought was like incredible. And I remember watching it. It didn't mean anything, but I was like, oh, okay. Like, that's pretty cool. Like,
I honestly think that
just because of where it came from and like the Tiger shot and stuff, it was kind of similar to that shot. I thought that was really cool.
I think I don't remember who else they were on at the moment, but you could hear the roar in the background of someone else's shot. I think it was probably the loudest roar of Sunday.
I think so. Yeah, because I think, and I've never been to Augusta. One day I will, but I think that's where the most patrons are, right? Like with the hill left of the lake.
Yeah, it's either that or Amen Corner.
You have 15 right there. There's a lot of people, but yeah, I think that you could hear that roar through the broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, it was loud. I thought someone made an ace. That's how loud it was.
Yeah. I was hoping for betting purposes someone made an ace. But.
Of course. Okay, best shot for me. I have 2 nominations. Maybe you can help me choose. Both Jon Rahm. And this is where you were talking earlier about where he won or lost the tournament, won the tournament. It's either the drive on 13, just absolutely getting up there and lacing a draw when the dude was a slicer or a cutter of the ball. When they showed like the shot map of like everybody's landing, but like his ball was like 15 yards ahead of everybody else on the entire day. Going.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I think that was just like, okay, he's not going to make a mistake from there. That's, could seal the deal there. And then obviously on 14 from, over in the right in the pine straw.
Oh yeah.
Cuts one in, catches the slope, basically a kick in birdie to really just, back-to-back birdies on those 2 holes. Pretty much slammed the door. The only way he was going to get himself in trouble is water bowl on 15.
Yeah. Those were both pretty good. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Given the moment, and then just, it was really like, felt like him slamming the door, and it was, just incredible golf shots.
Worst outfit?
Worst outfit.
Man,
is this me first or you?
I'll go first on this one. Victor would be the easy. He's like the low-hanging fruit. His meat shirt or whatever the heck that was. I think it was supposed to be a flower. I think it was meat.
It was flowers.
It looked like a filet mignon on there.
Could have been.
But the guys wearing their live uniforms.
Preach.
And it is like
specifically,
major...
I'm going to call specifically out Patrick Reed.
Yes.
It just looked super ill-fitting. The logos for everything that they do are just so bad.
Major, I played football in high school, look at me now kind of vibes. And it's like, it was just weird. It Look, good. Like if they want to like put one, if they wore like something on their sleeve or something, like okay, whatever. But it's like Patrick Reed. Like he had a hat. He had like the logo on his shirt.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was on his ball. I mean, we already know he has tees after Rory flipped one at him. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like overkill, right? And it's like, and it's almost like, especially guys like Patrick Reed. And I'll give Brooks Koepka credit. He was one that did not wear any of his logo stuff.
Yeah, I wonder.
And not that I'm saying he can't. I'm just saying like the way that some of the guys, and Sergio did it too, like that hideous flaming golf ball of a logo. It felt very like Glory Day vibes. Like I used to be really, really good. Look at me, I'm still wearing my Letterman jacket kind of vibes. Like that's what it felt like to me. And I don't know. And it was weird. Like Patrick Reed's a turd, like I think we all can agree on that. And it was like, it felt like he was like trying to make a point, which was even more weird.
Oh yeah. That's his whole MO. I think they all looked like bad select high school baseball coaches.
Yeah,
like all of their outfits look like.
Yeah, exactly. Like they take their jobs like their coaching job too seriously. Yeah, that is Yeah, that is so true. And it was just weird. And again, like there's a couple of the logos that are like, oh, that's kind of cool, but like to wear like the hat, like the full uniform, it's odd. Like it'd be like seeing someone that plays for the Bengals, like wearing their jersey out to a bar. Like they're not going to do it. Like, why are you doing this? You know what I mean? Like it's so weird. I thought that was the weirdest thing of the weekend too. Like,
yeah, we can pause on this and just talk for a minute about Liv briefly. It felt like
they had some guys that played well. I mean,
I think it was overall just like a win from the standpoint of like, okay, yeah, they can like actually compete. And a lot of those guys haven't given up their golf game. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they're just sitting on the couch when they're not playing in tournaments. Yeah.
And I never thought that. Like the guys that take it seriously, Brooks Koepka, as much as he kind of came off as a crybaby in that Netflix series, it's not that he doesn't work. Like he's not like he's working at it. I think he's kind of a head case. But
for sure.
And then like Patrick Reed, as much as I don't like him, like it's not that he doesn't work at it. Like he's still trying to, win out there. But they did. I mean, they played. I mean, they had guys that play well. But when you sign guys that are, Phil Mickelson's a legend. Like, however you feel about him, Patrick Reed has won a major. Like, Brooks Koepka's won 4 majors. Like, they're good players, and no one's discounting that. But yeah, it feels like a win from their standpoint, and I'm sure I haven't checked their Twitter feed or anything like that, but I'm sure it's already been tweeted out that they've had, 4 guys up there. I think it was 4, right?
No, so here's the quick numbers for you, and I just said they have guys that compete, but also I do want to just caution against that because they had Brooks and Phil the T2. Obviously, Brooks was like a very real threat to win for the majority of the tournament.
Yeah, and he won last week on Liv.
Yeah, and then Patrick Reed ends up T4. Joaquin Niemann's T16. That's the only 4 guys in the top 20. They had 12 make the cut. Some pretty notable missed cuts Bryson, Sergio, Bubba.
And Cam Smith didn't miss the cut. He definitely didn't have his best
Cam
stuff.
Smith and DJ just kind of disappeared on Sunday. You had Kevin Na and Louis Oosthuizen classic withdrawals.
WDs. Kevin Na was, 8 over through 7 or something like that?
Yeah.
And I will say, I thought it was crazy. Cam Smith even came out in his press conference and said that he kind of got lazy this year.
Yeah.
Which I was like, when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's...
Well, in Brooks, there's if you follow golf closely at all, Brooks is rumored to be trying to find a way to get out, wants to get back on tour and misses the tour and that kind of thing. And so, some of the obvious stuff, like him not wearing the Live gear, could be a Nike contract thing. But also,
because they roll out a line of clothes for this tournament
for their stars. But and then also he made a couple comments about, the Live decision would have been tougher for him if he was healthy. So he seems like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He's not like the Live ambassador. He's about Brooks Koepka.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think from a standpoint of their marketing department is probably a pretty big win for them to have guys up there.
They had guys part of the story the entire week.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a decent win.
And forced CBS, who obviously has a relationship with the PGA Tour, to show those guys, right? Like if they weren't like, obviously when Tiger's playing, like we're going to see Tiger even if he's +7. Like they're going to show shot to Tiger whether he's +7 or -7. Like, but like if those guys, like you didn't see Cam Smith the entire weekend, but it forced them to show guys that are on the LIV Tour. Like, and from a LIV standpoint, that is a win. They were forced to show guys that they've essentially disowned. So from a standpoint of that, yeah, I guess it was a win for LIV, as far as having those guys up there. But those are guys that, if they were playing on the PGA Tour every week, would be up in near the lead anyway. So,
yeah, I mean,
they would be in the finals, the FedEx Cup finals. Like, it's not like they came out of nowhere because they're playing on LIV and all of a sudden they're, second place at the Masters. It's just not the case.
Right. Okay, yeah, I just want to touch on that real quick. Worst outfit-wise, I totally agree with you. I had Hovland day one written down, and then anything Patrick Reed wore, which is just a larger part of the.
Honestly, that's a blanket statement for Patrick Reed, even before he was on LIV. Like the outfits were hideous.
It just doesn't fit right. None of it has ever fit right. Remember you used to have those handkerchief style patch pocket God, it's just bad.
I don't know who dresses them. They shouldn't have a job. So
tough.
We're better podcasters than whoever his outfitter was. That's how bad it was. Oh, so
just
that is blanket Patrick Reed, terrible dresser.
Totally agree. All right, favorite moment.
You go with this one. Yeah, you go first here.
This is tough. I mean, there's so many different ways to go with favorite moment. This one, I think it's kind of corny, but it also made me laugh just because it feels like something that would happen, just with buddies, right? So I guess Jon Rahm is in a group text with Zach Ertz and J.J. Watt.
I saw
boys.
this. I didn't read into it, but I saw it. Yeah.
So Rahm told the story, when he's out on the 18 green or wherever they do the post-round presser. And I guess Zach Ertz had texted him and was basically, hey, I've been watching all day. You got this, John. That first green looks like cake. Right before he rolls out and proceeds to 4-putt the first green for a double to start his Masters. And so J.J. Watt screenshots it and posts it to Twitter, so confirming this is actually true.
Yeah.
So that's just funny to me because it feels like something you'd be texting your buddies dude, I'm going to come out and just watch out. I hit it great on the range. I'm going to play great. And then you go 4-putt the first green. It just feels like something relatable. So that one's kind of cheesy, but I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, I didn't know the whole, obviously I heard his story on 18 green, but I was kind of in and out. It was getting near bedtime for the kids, and I'm trying to watch that and get them ready. But yeah, and then I saw J.J. Watt's Twitter post with the text messages, and I'm like, okay, that gives a little more context to the story that I barely heard. But that's freaking awesome. I think we've all done it. We don't always, all of us that we know at our course, we don't always play together. It's oh yeah, greens are. You should be able to make a lot of putts there, rolling real smooth, and then you get out there and you're just whacking the ball over the place. It did kind of have those vibes to it, course is playing easy today, and you go out and shoot one of your worst scores of the season, right? So yeah, I did love that story.
Yeah,
my favorite moment. So I got the kids to bed. I caught the end of the Butler cabin, or I caught when they did the interview.
Oh, I almost picked this too.
In the Butler cabin, obviously with Rahm and Bennett and Scheffler and Nance, and I think was Trevor Immelman there. I think he was
not. Fred Ridley.
But they were interviewing Sam Bennett, and he's sitting there and he's it's an honor to be here, blah blah blah, and he's it's a tough decision, but I think I'm going to play tomorrow in the Aggie Invitational. For the record, he did not play today.
Oh, tough.
He did not. Well, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm okay, it's 7:30 right now. Unless you're hopping on a PJ in Augusta Airport, you're not getting, and even then, you're getting home at 1 o'clock in the morning. Not that he's a young guy. I think we all know, at 21, 22, 23, you need 5 hours of sleep to be functional, maybe even 3.
Yeah.
But then the best part is when they he says that he's I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to 36-hole grind tomorrow. And Scheffler and Rahm are just they're holding in laughs because
it's so good.
They both played college golf. I will tell you, we played 36-hole first days of tournaments. leave out of it that he just played at Augusta for 4 days in some of the worst weather I think we've ever seen played at the Masters, at least in our lifetime. The dude's talking about going out and carrying his clubs tomorrow and playing traditions down at the Aggie Invitational. Like, that was cool. Like, and then the fact that you have two guys that play college golf, they're like,
it was so perfect.
Like, dude, like those suck if you get a good night's sleep. And like, you're talking about leaving here, and then he just dipped out. Like, he's just like poof, gone. Like, didn't even stay until the jacket. I'm like,
I think they kick him out. Basically, he's like, he jumps up and then
I thought they usually stay, but I could be wrong about that.
Scheffler puts the jacket on Rahm and just kind of ducks out of the scene real quick too. I think it's
But I just thought that like two guys that obviously Rahm at Arizona State and then Scheffler at Texas, like they know that grind, and they're like, you got a guy that's sitting in Butler Cabin at 7:30 at night and is like, oh, I'm playing in 13 hours. I think I'm going to grind out 36 holes tomorrow. Like, to me, one, that's awesome for Sam Bennett to have that mentality. Yeah. And two, like, the fact that they were just sitting there laughing was like, what is a pretty serious, presentation.
And very awkward setting.
It's a very awkward setting, and it's like you got two guys over there just like holding in laughs. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was great. Like I said, it was literally between the.
And I think it's just the tradition of like they, when they started the Masters, like they always wanted to honor the amateurs, and like just that whole situation of amateurs and pro golfers, and then like you said, it's just awkward. It's kind of awkward. Oh, yeah. It's super awkward. Yeah, like you said, they put the jacket on and like dip out of the scene real quick. But yeah, that was I love it. I always try to watch that presentation just because. Not that you're going to get that every year, but it's always pretty cool.
No, I mean, the Masters every year, like, you get it once a year. Like, I'm here to soak in every single moment of the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I will watch it all.
Till the very end.
Yeah. So, all right, well, that's the recap six-pack. We covered a ton of ground there, which is great. A couple of things that I think, I just wanted to quickly touch on. One, our king, Jordan Spieth, just an absolute roller coaster ride.
You got the whole experience on Sunday too.
Peaks and valleys, ups and downs, however you want to phrase it.
I think
he made 21 birdies on the week, I believe. We just got to clean up some of the stuff.
And anybody that does that is winning that tournament by 7, but not him.
Not our guy. Not our guy.
Oh, gosh, it was brutal. Sunday was just like it's like all right, birdie. It's like bogey. It's like and then the random par that he would throw in there. I think I told you when he hit it in the bunker on 16, you're like, he's going to chip this in. I was like, he's either chipping it in or making bogey. At this point, there's really no in between. So, sad. I mean, I thought he put up a good showing, but obviously a very exciting showing as far from a birdie standpoint. But, man, it would have been complete having those two guys up there with Spieth kind of charging what felt like he was going to do, but then just too many little mistakes kind of held him back.
Yeah, I mean, if you were on the grounds, like, as a patron, it had to be just such a fun follow. Him and Phil together just...
Yeah, and then Phil, like we said, shooting 65. Like, that had to be there's a lot of fireworks in that group on Sunday.
Yeah, and then, okay, so going all the way back to Thursday, just to touch on this, the Brooks, Woodland, caddy, what club did you hit incident, like, I don't want to be, like I said, I don't like to be golf harder guy. It just feels like one of those things where, like, I get that it happens a lot, but, like, you got caught on video and they showed it to you and you're still, like, deny till you die on it. Like, the fact they got caught, I think it deserved a penalty.
So that one, and then I think I sent it to you on Instagram, Colin Morikawa blatantly marking his ball.
I think there was something with that where it was like the ball moved and he was replacing, but it did look weird just on the clip that was.
Yeah, it looked like he replaced his ball. Like there's always weird situations like that, especially in a major. And then Augusta's got the CBS and ESPN have 9,000 cameras on the course. Yeah. Like if they supplied those kind of cameras for a football game, like we would never have missed calls. But like they have so many cameras out there that catches like every little thing. And in most tournaments, that probably never gets caught. The Brooks thing probably never gets caught. But at Augusta, when you have 75 cameras a hole, like probably going to get caught. Like, and I thought that was, it definitely deserves a penalty. Like it did.
Yeah, so I mean, I just thank God he didn't go on to win, by a shot or two or whatever, and like
it would have been weird.
It would have been a weird thing. So it's one of those things where had he won, it would be a huge story, but, kind of brush it off and it's lost to history now.
Yeah, for sure.
Last thing I got here, changes to hole 13. I'm with you. So I was a little skeptical.
And the camera angle. Did you see the camera in the brick wall that they had behind the tee? That was sick.
It was awesome. That's why I think the Jon Rahm tee ball there was like so incredible to me. But anyway, I was skeptical. I thought it might kind of dumb the hole down a little bit. I mean,
I think it actually added more risk reward to it.
It seemingly did.
You had to really hit a good drive to be able to and then when you did that, it was still kind of like, all right, instead of a 6 or a 7 iron like those guys used to have, it's like, all right, now it's like maybe a 4 hybrid or a 5 wood, or it wasn't something where you're like, all right, I can easily put this in the middle of the green. It's like I'm gonna have to hit a good shot to get it into the middle of the green, or even anywhere but the creek, right? So I thought it was a good change.
You used to have, I think, prior years recently, some guys that have 8 irons and stuff into that green.
Yeah, it's like silly. It's like it's a par 5. Like as much as I love a good short par 5 when I'm playing my own ball, for the Masters, you want a little bit more thought process into. I'm going to hit an 8 iron into the middle of the green and let it take the slope down to the hole.
And you probably, I think part of this was the conditions and the weather, but you saw some guys slip.
Yeah.
The uneven lies you got there, ball way above your feet and stuff, just really kind of interesting shots.
And seeing more approach shots into that green rather than
ton of guys
and
laid up.
Realizing how hard a wedge shot, even 80 yards for these guys who are the best wedge players in the world, how many wedge shots did I see on Saturday and Sunday when it was still a little wet that were skipping and going over the green? They had no idea how to hit the shot, which I thought was pretty cool too.
Yeah, I think it was the third round. Bennett, Rahm, and Koepka all laid up, all hit wedges in, and I think the closest guy was maybe 20 feet. It wasn't. Yeah, that's a tough. It makes it a more intriguing hole. I think
the MVP of the weekend was the sub-air system below Augusta, because dudes were balls were rolling out, and it's you just had 5 inches of rain. That it just adds to how incredible that place is, and with how quickly they get stuff done, and what they add to the course. It always seems to be good. I don't know why anybody thought that would be bad, and I honestly kind of thought it was going to be bad, but it's I think they think through stuff so much, and it's so perfect that it's okay, they've thought this through. It's going to be good for the tournament, and it was, I thought.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that you see a lot of times with a USGA setup, or even some of the recent PGAs, is some stuff just gets super dumbed down, or it becomes unfair.
Yeah.
And I don't think
there's no in between.
I don't think you see that really ever at the Masters.
Nope.
The pin locations, they play to the conditions that they're given. They don't worry about what the score is going to be, and you usually get a pretty good result in terms of the tournament.
Yep, exactly.
All right, I think that covers. You got anything else on the Masters?
No, I think we're ready for who needed the back 9 six-pack the most.
A tradition unlike any other.
Yeah, a tradition a lot of candidates too. I think probably because of the weather,
Yeah.
But
I kind of forgave the guys that got by the weather on this one. Honed in.
We all get there. I mean, we're all at some point. Weather's going to get you if you play enough golf.
Look, I'm so fragile. The second that the rain gear comes on and the long sleeves, I can't swing. I can't swing. It's uncomfortable. I'm that guy. So
yeah,
I fault nobody for playing poorly in that kind of weather.
But these were both in good weather. These candidates were both in. These were not bad weather candidates.
Correct. And we're going straight to Sunday. All right, we got one that's just I'm in here because it's just.
And it's sad. He was a pick of mine, and he played well. We'll call it 2.5 rounds.
He teed off the final round at 3 under par, which was not in the tournament, but
he didn't play well on Saturday. And again, rain and wind and weather aided.
There's, on a day where we saw, 65 and stuff, he could have made a serious run in the top 5 or something.
Yeah.
Jason Day did not make a serious run in the top 5. So he birdies 2. Good. We're under par. Bogey on 7. It gets people. Okay, then we double 9. All right, 30 in the front. This is when you got to look yourself in the mirror and you got to realize what you need.
Yeah. I mean, at the least, you're going to have fun on the back. I'm about to play Amen Corner. with a 6-pack. I bet that's it's probably been done, but not by many people.
No.
But he definitely needed it because
He
it
needed
went downhill.
You think Jason Day's a domestic or an import guy at the Masters?
He lives in Columbus. I'm going to guess he's transitioned to probably domestic.
Ooh, okay.
He's Americanized
the clear
now.
cups, not the green cups.
Yeah, he's definitely an Americanized now for sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
So we turned at 38. So that's the first of 4 doubles.
It went downhill quickly, I think.
The first of 4 doubles within 5 holes. Doubles 10, doubles 12, doubles 13. Throws in a nice bogey on 16 for good measure. Closes with a birdie on 18 for a 42.
The ultimate bring him back. Like it's
Yeah.
it's gonna bring something's bringing you back, and it's always on 18.
Yeah, and so for the
Not
80,
that you need any persuasion to come back to Augusta, but he has it.
he's got it. Yeah, the 42 on the back 9 to shoot 80
Not
in the
good.
final round of the Masters when you were 3 under par when you started your day.
That's a tough scene. That is a very, very tough scene.
That one's clear cut.
For someone that's felt like it was like this was going to be his coming back party kind of thing. And it was for 2 rounds, and even 3 rounds. I mean, he didn't play good in the third, but it felt like it was like, all right, like we're finally got the Jason Day from the 2014, 15, and then 80. So, what is it, 42 on the back, you said?
42 on the back.
With a birdie. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's tough.
So this, a little bit of a twist to this one. Thomas Peters started on the back 9. Shot 40. But when you're making the turn, coming off a bogey, double bogey, that's a clear...
You got to make decisions.
Clear back 9 6-pack choice. Gets up on hole 1, driver, hits the Brooks ball, way left, breaks his driver, throws it in the garbage, proceeds to par out using 3-wood on the rest of the par 4s and 5s for the round. Shoots 77.
That's impressive. I don't know if we can confirm or deny that he actually didn't get a back 9 because that seems like he pulled it. A little bit. Yeah, that's still bad. Breaking a club on 10, that just doesn't happen if you get a cold one at
That's
the
the
turn.
thing. This is why I bring this up. I think
it tampers down a lot of the anger.
the mindset of the back 9 6-pack, we don't break clubs. It's just part of the ethos of it. And had he gotten it, I don't think he breaks that driver.
I would agree with that. Yeah, that's man. And that course was playing long this weekend. That was a business decision he made to break that golf club.
8 straight pars after breaking the driver.
I bet his caddy was probably like, that broken driver is going to cost me like $20,000 because if he plays like crap on the back, we're going to slip 15 spots on the leaderboard. But yeah, the broken club, the back 9 6-pack probably would have definitely tampered down his temper. And it's hard to kind of get mad when you're, you got a beer in your hand. He probably wouldn't have had 2 hands to break the club if he had a beer in his hand.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but I'm telling you, I think Jason Day takes the cake here.
I think I agree with you.
You're at 3 under, and not saying he would have won, but Phil was 1 under and came in and got ended up getting a second place. Like you would have liked to see that from him, but he just sent it full send into the sky, 40 on the back, a crisp 80 for a Sunday Masters final round. That's my opinion. I think he takes the first person, superlative of needing the back 9 6-pack.
Yeah, the inaugural who needed the back 9 6-pack.
We'll send your trophy in the mail, Jason.
Jason Day, a fellow Ohio native. Not native, resident.
Resident, yeah.
All right. From there, last segment. We like to close the show out with a segment called Patio Beers. Your post round, you've had your back 9 6-pack.
Anything can come up.
Anything can come up on the patio.
Anything's up for discussion.
So we don't talk about these questions ahead of time. We're just going to ask, and you're obligated to answer. You want to go first, or you want me?
You go first.
All right. I think I got an easy one for you, because I'm torn on this, and I want to get your opinion. Are you in or out on Masters Sunday falling on Easter?
Out.
Okay. I'm also out, but I want to hear your reason.
I'm out. I think I sent you a text yesterday. I sent
You
it
didn't
in our
realize
group
that
chat.
you didn't know this until yesterday, did you?
No, I sent it. No, this was literally I was like all for it. And then yesterday happens. We kind of do some family stuff, and then we get home, and then we still have to do our little family stuff. And they're making the turn, and I get nominated to freaking hide eggs. And I'm out there hiding eggs, and Rahm's teeing off on 10. And I think I sent a text in our group chat, and I was like, what happened? Because these kids are ruining my viewing experience. That was like exact words that came across in that text. So I'm out. And it has nothing to do with Easter. It's just the fact that there's so much going on. When it's just the Masters, I can completely devote my afternoon to sitting on the couch and not doing a single thing. On top of, by the way, cooked dinner yesterday. But it's fine. I cooked something I could just put in the oven and put on the grill and just kind of leave it. But the whole going out and hiding Easter eggs when they were making a turn was a huge buzzkill. I'm out. After this year, completely out. I don't know when it's going to happen again. I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit. I don't know the calendar for the next 4 or 5 years, but yeah, I'm completely out. And I will definitely find a way prior to Easter to restructure my day to make sure that never happens again.
Yeah, look, I'm out on it, and I still had a pretty pleasant Masters viewing experience yesterday. We had my parents over in the morning, had it on in the background, was great. Got to my in-laws. There's just so many people there that are all about the kids that like I can kind of step back a little bit. It's not my show to run. So I was able to sit in front of the TV for quite a long time. I don't want to complain about that. But what I don't want is I don't want my Masters viewing experience to be like I don't want to feel like a scumbag for skipping out on a holiday.
Yeah,
whereas
and that's the other reason too.
If it's any other April weekend, I've got full license. My wife loves the Masters too. We watch. But when
and
there's
that's
a holiday
part of the reason
in,
that we did Masters Saturday this year. It's like,
yeah.
And as much as I think that should become a thing because Saturday can get a little more wild, you don't have to like worry about like the Sunday scaries.
Yeah, 100%
after the round ends.
Yep.
But it's just it sucked. It did like. And again, you don't want to feel like a scumbag. You're like, your kids are like, Dad, are you going to hide the Easter eggs? Like, no, Rahm's making the turn. Like, get away from me. Like, I couldn't say that. Like, and then we'd already pushed it off until 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And, 5:45, 6 o'clock. So I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm going to go out there and like crank the TV up as loud as I could and open my back window so I could maybe hear a glimpse of it. If it was like a super close Masters, I would have been completely just utterly pissed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm out on it. So, yeah, that's a new thing this year for sure.
Awesome.
All right. So this might be an easy one. I don't know. Worst memory of playing golf. The absolute worst.
Oh, man. Sadly, there's like too many different ways that can go. This is before I adopted the back nine six-pack mantra and became, a convert. I don't remember the exact details of this, but there was a time playing at Miami Whitewater. I think it was high school or maybe shortly after. It was just one of those days where I'm just topping the ball or whatever. I'm just not, I cannot get the ball in the air. I cannot do anything. It's just doesn't matter. Everything is ass.
Yeah.
Get to the 13th hole there, which is along the road. It's an uphill par 3. And I just proceed to toe, hook, blade, skank, every bad golf word outside of shank that you could do into New Haven Road. Literally
Thank God it's not a busy road.
Straight up grabbed my bag, walked back to the clubhouse from there.
Oh.
And I rode with someone else, so just sat there in the parking lot like a real sad boy and waited for them to finish the other 6 holes or 5 holes. Walking off a golf course, you don't want to be that guy, and I was that guy that day.
Yeah.
But that one hurts. That one was bad.
But, when you can't get the ball airborne, it's like having the S word, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or the yips.
I can't believe you just said that out loud.
I don't want to say it. I got rid of them 3 years ago.
We're doing exorcism in this room tonight.
Yeah, we got to like throw holy water around. But yeah, I get it. And I think we've all been there. I don't think you were drinking age yet.
No. This was definitely.
If you were, it would have been like, I'm not quitting. I'm going back to the clubhouse to get a drink.
I would have never got to that point because there would have been already
exactly.
beers in the cart.
Exactly. Yeah, that's tough. And like anytime that it's like almost embarrassment, I think on a golf course, like it just hits a whole nother level of like, fuck this game.
Yeah. I was just straight up not having a good time.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough.
Do you have one that comes to mind?
Yeah, I do. So I was playing in college, and we were at our conference tournament, and it was up in Marquette, Michigan. If you don't know where it is, look it up. It is literally Duluth is the most northern point of America, I believe. Duluth, Minnesota.
Yeah.
This was only like 70 miles south of it, if you're looking at it on a map, but it's in Michigan. And we played a course called Gray Walls.
I know Gray Walls.
Yes, looks like the Predator course from Tiger Woods. I mean, there's rock formations in the middle of the fairway. I remember qualifying. I tied like 3 other guys. My coach decided because the other 3 were freshmen, he was going to take the sophomore and me who had tournament experience. And, you know, how I am as a person, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go out and like I put all this pressure on myself to prove him right? First round, cold topped. Okay? And you can't cold top balls on this course. Cold topping is a reload. Okay? Reload. Flail 1. Adam Wainwright had to hit a 3rd ball off the first tee of a shotgun start out in the middle of nowhere, which, by the way, this round had sleet, sunshine, 60 degrees, 30 degrees, some snow. I saw a bear and a wolf in the same round.
Wow.
Not kidding. Proceed to shoot 87. Come in, and my coach I love him, but he's the disappointed parent. Like, almost like, you knew coming into this that you had to prove me right, and then you just posted an 87. I'm so happy to this day, and he may hear this at some point, I'm so happy to this day he did not see my first tee shot. Because I think he would have pulled me off the course. But it was just a day that was just like, it was just so dejecting. And I remember my 17th hole, par 4, finally hit a good drive. Right down the middle. Had like 160 in. Just absolutely pierced an 8-iron. I hit it so fucking good. It cleared the green by 30 yards. I think it was a lot of anger. Clears the green by 30 yards. Ended up making triple. And I was like, at that point, I was like, I did. Obviously, I had to walk off the course. I'd probably be at the bottom of Lake Superior right there. But, that was my worst memory just because of like what I felt like I had riding on it. And then I think of him as somebody that like I don't want to disappoint. So it was like all this mix of emotions. Like, he gets over stuff pretty quickly, but it was like a mix of emotions of like trying to prove him right. He took me, I tied these guys. I'm going to come out and play good, and then just completely laid an egg. Saw a bear and a wolf, though. That was pretty cool. But yeah, it was. If I could have jumped off one of the cliffs in the course, I would have.
Well, good thing you didn't.
But definitely my worst experience on a golf course.
Oh.
But
yeah.
I think that's all we got tonight.
That's all we got. Let's we can wrap it here. Everybody, awesome Masters Week. Heading into the Heritage designated event. Should be fun.
Should be a great field.
Should be a great field.
Is Rahm going to come back for the double jacket try? Did you get a jacket for the RBC? I'm sad no one tries that. Like, I'm going to win the green jacket, and I'm going to go to the RBC and win the plaid jacket.
Yeah.
Like, I doubt he will, but it
just
should be a really, really good
have a closet
field.
of unwearable jackets.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, nice weather here in Ohio. Hopefully maybe we can get out and get some golf in, too.
Absolutely.
Who knows?
Absolutely.
I guess, go ahead and follow us. We're going to get the social media up and running, so give us a follow on Twitter at Back9Sixpack. Same thing on Instagram.
And that's a 9.
Yeah, there is the number 9 in that. You'll find it.
6-pack. Yep.
These algorithms are smart. They got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, until next time, cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back9Sixpack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back9Sixpack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.